Hello, my name is Dr. Didyk. I'm a medical doctor and I'm board certified in internal medicine and geriatric medicine. Have you ever wondered what a geriatrician does? Well, we do our best to provide comprehensive care. We try to look at the whole person, and that's why our assessments are often 2 hours long. But usually by the end of the assessment, we are able to give you some feedback and embark on a plan to move forward. Now, you might think that because we're being so comprehensive, well, why doesn't this care plan just include, a list of 20 different things? Come on, let's get going. Let's look at all these things now. Well, I understand your enthusiasm and I appreciate it. But you know what? That's not the geriatric way. We tend to do things one at a time, slowly and methodically. And we have good reason for doing that. One reason is that if we do two things at once, so say we increase one medication and decrease another, well, if you get better, how will we know that we even needed to increase that other medication? Maybe we could have just decreased the first one, or vice versa. It's much easier to figure things out when we do one thing at a time. It's the scientific principle of only changing one variable at a time. And that's what we do our best to stick to. Why do we go so slowly? Why does it take so long for us to start a medication at a really low dose and then slowly increase it and slowly increase it? Couldn't we just double it after a few days? Well, again, in a senior, we have to think about the whole person. We have to think about other aspects of physiology, other medications, and other factors. So oftentimes we do have to go slowly. This also gives us time to see how things are working and whether or not we can just stay where we are without even going higher on a medication dose. For seniors, sometimes a lower dose of medication is good enough. Another reason that we might go slowly is that sometimes there are gaps in our information. We do our best to put everything together before a person has an appointment or during the appointment. We take our time to get as much history beforehand that we can, to look at as many old charts as we can, and also to take a good history from the person who's come to see us, as well as maybe a member of their family or a friend who can kind of fill us in on the details. But despite all of that, sometimes there's information that's missing. So for example, if we go to start a medication, we want to make absolutely sure that it's not a medication that's been used before. And so sometimes we need to take a little bit more time to get that info and make sure we're moving forward in the right way. The final reason why it might take us a little bit longer to really put our whole plan into action is that sometimes it takes time for a diagnosis to be clarified. Especially things like the neurological conditions that a lot of geriatricians deal with. So things like dementia or depression, anxiety, other conditions. Sometimes those diagnoses are based all on a person's symptoms. We don't often have a good blood test or a good scan that will rule in or rule out these conditions. We usually do tests, in fact, to rule out other things rather than dementia or rather than depression. But if all those tests are negative, sometimes we just have to wait and see how the symptoms evolve before we just bash ahead with what we think is going on. So we are comprehensive, we geriatricians, and our assessments are very lengthy. You might feel at the end of it that you've just had enough and you're ready to move forward, and you're very hopeful that we can start to make a difference. But thank you for your patience, and thanks for bearing with us as we gently put our plans in place and take our time in figuring out the best way to move forward. It took you several decades, if not longer, to develop all the symptoms that you've kind of come in to talk to us about. So we would appreciate it if you would give us a few more weeks or months to make sure that we're really doing the right thing to start to understand and treat those symptoms. A plea for patience from your humble geriatrician. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you'll keep watching The Wrinkle, because I'll see you next time right here.